Welcome back to another Pokemon Throwback Thursday, where every single Thursday morning we take a deep dive into a vintage set. We're going in complete order, and the set we're checking out today is Generations. This is the 20th anniversary. We got the 30th anniversary coming soon, and we're doing a new thing where every single Throwback Thursday we highlight a certain Pokemon and we look at their best cards in Pokemon history and their best sealed products. And today we're going to be looking at Greninja. And honestly, some of these Greninja cards are so cheap, and we do have an upcoming Greninja set. I think it's like Ninja Spinner or something like that. I can't remember the name. But some of these Greninja cards might be some pretty good pickups. And then two, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Collectr. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. I've actually tried every one of them. Some of the apps, they don't even have sealed products, or they're just getting sealed products, and some apps only have a couple TCGs. Collectr has over 25 different TCGs. And they're always trying to improve by adding new cards, boxes, and features, so let us know down below what you guys think they should add or fix. And they just added two cool new features where you can actually search by artist name, like type in Shinji Kanda, and it'll show all of their cards. And they even added some new filters where you could do card only, and then type in like Charizard or Mewtwo or whatever, and it'll show you all of your Charizard or Mewtwo cards, and it'll show you the total value and everything. So definitely check that out. I'll have all the links in the description. And of course, we have the binder bound t-shirt and hoodie. This is only going to be available for a limited time. We're already working on a new design, so probably start of the new year. That's when the new design will come out. And of course, if you guys are going to grade with PSA, you can click my link in the description and get $25 off your very first submission if you use the code BEARD25. So I actually like Generations a little bit more than Celebrations. And the reason why is because Generations has so much beautiful artwork. It's not just full of reprints or anything like that. So there's a ton of cool cards and really popular Pokemon also. So they got a bunch of awesome EXs, Venusaur, Charizard, Blastoise. We got Megas in here too. We got beautiful full arts, Articuno, Zapdos. And then we have the Radiant collection. Now this is where the set gets pretty crazy. We got RC1 all the way through RC32. Now I've finished this set many, many times. These are some of my favorite things to collect, little like Radiant collection sets. And these used to be really cheap. Now, Sylveon, Gardevoir, Pikachu, those are pretty expensive. But it has one of the coolest Charizard lines, which is still very affordable. We got the Charmander here when, his trainer's just a little kid. And then he's, a teenager. And then he's an adult. And what's cool about the Radiant collection is they all have like a really cool little reverse hollow pattern on them. They look really nice. Like you can kind of see it on the Jirachi and stuff. But yeah, for the big cards, the actual full arts, we got the Flareon with the Jolteon and the Vaporeon, probably the coolest or one of the coolest Flareon cards ever. We got Pikachu, literally 4 Pikachus on one card. Now we got the Gardevoir RC30. Now this card really, really reminds me of the brand new Gardevoir that we just got in Mega Evolution, because it has, the other evolution lines and stuff. And then we got the Mega Gardevoir. Bad picture right here, but this card's really cool. It has a really nice, like, dark red to it. And then, of course, the Sylveon with the Eevee. Let's check some prices. So the Sylveon says raw 135, Flareon 132, Mega Gardevoir 104, Pikachu 92, the Gardevoir EX 64, followed by the Flareon EX at 53. But even like the non-full arts, this Sylveon and Eevee right here, beautiful. It even has some really cool charms. So if like your wife or your girlfriend or daughter has never seen these cards, I strongly recommend you show them the Generation set, because in my opinion, it has some of the cutest cards ever. Look at this Altaria with the Dedenne and the Sylveon in there, the Raichu. And like I said, they have a nice reverse hollow, so it's not just a plain, little picture. The Chikorita and Pikachu. Man, this set is just crazy. Like I said, the art is nuts. Even the commons and reverse hollows are crazy. And the set's so deep. This is just a Radiant collection, then we can still go to the actual mainline set. Not too bad. Again, just some basic EXs and stuff, but we got a couple nice full arts. All right, we're going to hop to eBay. Check out some recently sold. We got the Flareon EX. This is the non-full art, 24. We got the Generations Radiant Collection base set. Sold for $217 for 20 bits. So this is a very fun set. A lot of those Radiant cards are just a couple dollars a piece. So it's a very easy set to complete. Like I said, there's just like 5 of the big cards. And then too, you could just collect the Radiant collection. You don't have to collect the entire thing. But all right, we got the Sylveon full art at $117. We got a Swirlix. Like this is the reverse hollow pattern I'm talking about, $4. Flareon EX full art, $80. We got that super cool Charizard and a CGC 8 for $32. Full art Sylveon and a PSA 7 for $110. Got the full art Pikachu, $75, $55. Got the Mega Gardevoir Full Art for $115 and $64 for Lightly Played Plus. Full Art Flareon for $107. Got the Swablu Radiant Collection for $7. Here we got that whole line, Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard for $40. Next, the Full Art Gardevoir for $40. Just the Sylveon EX and a PSA 7 for $55. The basic Flareon EX and a CGC 8 for $50. Full Art Pikachu and a Beckett 8.5 for $99, best offer accepted. The Charizard again for $20. The Denny for $10. Swirlix for $6, best offer accepted. Esper for $20, light played. So yeah, very affordable. But in a PSA 10, they do get pretty spendy. We got the Sylveon EX Full Art. Last sold $2,696. But now the sales all before that, $3,500, $3,300, $34, $35, $37, and $3,050. So that new sale definitely has dropped a bit, which is going to be very common in today's video. Next, we have the Flareon EX Full Art. Last sold in a 10, $3,400. And these cards are pretty tough to grade. And the sale before that, $42, $42, $34, $34, $36, $33. And then we go back to like March and it was $1,800. Next, we got the Mega Gardevoir EX. This is a little bit better picture, but that red in that card is just crazy. Last sold in a 10, $2,700. Before that, $28, $2,250, $3,000, $35, $37, $41, $3K, $4, $45, $49. Crazy. Next, the Pikachu Full Art. Last sold $1,700, $23, $32, $19, $24, $21. But this is one of the main reasons why I do not buy a ton of PSA 10 cards. You can just lose so much money on them because cards constantly go up and down, up and down. That's why it's just so much safer to buy raw and then sealed. Next, we got the Gardevoir EX Full Art. Last sold in a 10, $2,225. Before that, $25, $2K. We don't have a new recent sale for this Gardevoir card. Next, the Flareon EX. This is not the Full Art. Last sold $1,700, $17, $15 before that, and $1,000 before that, so that card's going up. Next, we got the other Sylveon EX. This is not the Full Art. Last sold $1,475. That was about a month and a half ago. Next, we have the Charizard. This thing used to be so cheap. I have one of these in a PSA 10. I got it for like $220. Yeah, beginning of 2025, it was like $200. Now last sold $750, $849, $910. Next, we got the Mega Charizard EX. So this is not from the Radiant Collection. Last sold $3,306. That is crazy. That's more expensive than the Sylveon EX Radiant Collection at $2,700. Can't mess with the Charizard. Wow. And then we have the Full Art Articuno. We got a sale at $791. Before that, it was $1,400. And then before that, it was $898. And then before that, $1,300, $1,500. So prices are all over the place for this card. And then we got these Zapdos Full Art. Last sold $1,250, $1,100, $950. A little more normal. Next, we have the Generations Booster Pack. Last sold $155 for the Venusaur. We got a random art at $175. Pikachu art at $180. Pikachu $180. We got a Blastoise that was on auction at $120. So it looks like it's ranging from about $120 to $180. And then we have some of the coolest sealed products ever. I just wish they were a little bit bigger and had a little bit more packs. But these are the Mythical Premium Collections. I want to say someone just sold the whole collection for $3,500 or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But there's some really, really cool ones. Awesome promos. I mean, these are like the first ever illustration rares. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, the Darkrai, Manaphy, Keldeo, some of the most popular, mythical Pokemon ever. Arceus, the Mew, that's my favorite. Mew sold for $584. It's going to be the most expensive. Another sale at $520. We got the Jirachi at $380. Arceus at $338. Meloetta at $350. Keldeo at $355. Darkrai $380. So most of them now are in the $300s. These were literally like $80 to about $150 probably 6 months ago, if that. And last on the list, we have the Generations ETB, last sold on eBay, on auction, $1,575. Looks like there's a dent in that. And we got a clean one here at $2,600. But this is what I'm talking about. That's the price difference between an ETB with some dents to a clean one. $2,600 or $2,300. to 1,575. So that's why I'm so obsessed with getting clean boxes. It's just so much easier to get rid of in the future, and you're getting such a premium. I know right now, when we're talking about newer boxes, some people don't care because they want to open the box. Nobody's opening these boxes. So when they become collector's pieces, that's when they become hard to sell, when they're all dented and dinged up. All right, let's jump to Greninja. But first, we are going to do the question of the day. I had so much fun the other day reading everybody's answers to what is the worst designed Pokemon in Generation 1. So today, the question of the day is, what is the worst designed Pokemon in Generation 2? Now, this is one of my favorite generations, so I'm a little scared to read some of the answers. But yeah, let me know down below. All right, we got Greninja. Not a ton of Greninja cards, to be honest. He only had one full page for English cards on Pokédata. But Greninja has definitely gotten some modern love, so that is awesome to see. And like I said, I think we're getting a Greninja set. So, of course, we're going to start off with all these Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet cards like we always do. We got the Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade. Market price $377. We do have the Radiant Greninja as a prize pack series cards. Now, I really like that because I like the Radiance so much more than a lot of these like basic EXs and V prize pack cards. But yeah, it's literally a shiny Greninja. I feel like a lot of people forget that these Radiant cards, they're shinies and stuff. But market price 56, I mean, that's not terrible. Then we have the Greninja promo, market price 54. This card is super cool. A lot of people like it. It is dropping right now. Last sold, near mint 48, 54, 45. And then we had the Greninja illustration contest from 2022. Pretty crazy art. It's got the whole evolution line in there if you really look at it. It's pretty crazy. I wish it was a full art. I really do. But market price $41 for that. And then the Greninja Gold Star promo. We've had so many up and downs with this card. Last sold 20, 19, 18 for the Gold Star. All right, what else we got? They do have a V-Union Greninja card. I'm a big fan of the V-Union cards. If you guys know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh!, it really reminds me of Exodia. If you know, you know. You got to get all the pieces to make Exodia. So I was a big fan of these. I have a bunch of these sealed. Yeah, it's like a $15 to $20 card to get all four of them. The Mewtwo's a little more expensive. And then we got a Greninja EX from Twilight Masquerade, just like the Terrestrial one. Market price $7, and a basic Greninja EX with a prize pack series card at $6.23. Like, I'd much rather have the Radiant than this basic EX. We got a Detective Pikachu Greninja. I think the art's kind of crazy on that. Some more basic EXs. The regular Radiant Greninja, which is just $2. All right, let's get into it. We got some tag team cards. We got the Greninja and Zoroark. I think this is one of the coolest duos that we got in all the tag team cards. Pop, only 1,157 in a 10, 812 in a 9, 252 in a 8. Last sold raw 80, 140, 222, 199, 249. And we got a PSA 9 at 315 and 370. And we do have a PSA 10 sale. It's going down. Last sold 773. We had our high at about $1,100 in August. So coming down in price a little bit. Next, we have the other Tag Team Greninja and Zoroark. This card is not textured. With a pop of about 1,100 in a 10, 600 in a 9, 200 in a 8. Last sold raw 38, 50, 80. Kind of ranges depending on the condition. And then we got a PSA 10 sale here at $239. Looks like the high was about $300, maybe $360 here in August. Next, we have the Rainbow Greninja and Zoroark GX Tag Team. So last sold in a PSA 10, only $166. And there's only 425 of these in a 10 and 296 in a 9. So there really isn't that many graded. It's not tough to grade, but these cards are very tough to pull. No one is opening up Unbroken Bonds anymore. So I don't think this pop will ever get over like 1,000 probably. But I love these rainbow tag teams. These are the best rainbows we've ever gotten. And I do have pretty much all of them in a PSA 10 now. Yeah, that 166 sale is pretty cheap because the sale before that was 225 and 275, 285. A lot of these tag teams are coming down. And the sale is from Z&G, so you know it's legit. Next, same exact art, but the full art. And similar pop too. Last sold raw 45, 40, 49, 55. We got a PSA 10 at $200. And we did have one at $320 the month before and $360 the month before that. Next, the Greninja GX Rainbow from Forbidden Light. This has a pop of 331 in a 10, 215 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, $368. Now, the month before that, like 2 weeks before that, it sold for $501 and $460. Wow. Next, again, same exact art, but this is the shiny version from Hidden Fates. Look at the pop difference on this one. 4,100 in a 10, 2,600 in a 9, 466 in an 8. And last sold in a 10, 199. And before that, it was 300. We got a bunch of 9s here at 70. Next, again, same art. Yep, 3 cards, same exact art. And again, from Forbidden Light, this is just a blue full art. I do like this blue, actually. Only 200 of these in a 10, 168 in a 9. Last sold in a 10, 300, 361, 375. A couple PSA 9s at 50. But I will admit, this always bugged me when they did the reprints of the same card, same art. But they do look nice in a binder, especially, if you got 3 spots, if you got all 3 of them, they do look nice. But it is lazy. Next, one of my favorite Greninja cards is the Ash-Greninja. This card has a crazy little pop, only 22 in a 10 and 105 in a 9. Last sold, raw, 20, 15, 31. If you want it actually clean, it's going to be $50 probably. We got one here at near mint of 55. Another one here at 65. There's a jumbo version of this also. I love this card because it actually says Ash in the card. Like, we never get like Ash love in, the TCG or anything like that. So having an Ash-Greninja just feels special. And we got a PSA 10 sale, which was in August at $4,900 in a 10. 6 months before that, it was at $1,400. Next, we had the Greninja GX Sun and Moon promo. I actually like some of these Sun and Moon promos because, it almost is filling out the entire card. Pretty cool art. This has 187 in a 10, 200 in a 9. This card is like a $10 to $30 card raw. And in a PSA 10 last sold $290. Before that, $350, $344. We even have a $400 sale. Next, the Greninja GX from Forbidden Light. Again, just a basic GX, but kind of a cool art. Greninja's always like doing the action and stuff. So last sold raw 15, 10, 12, PSA 9 at 33, and a PSA 10 at $157. That was from PSA though, and PSA's been having some weird sales lately. The sale before that, which was about a month ago now, it was at $350. So, yeah, not sure on that one. Next, we have the Greninja Break. I like the break cards. These are all very cheap. Again, a fun little set to complete. There's like 30-something of them, I think. A couple promos also, so don't miss those. Last sold in a PSA 10 is $185. We got a bunch of 9s here at $20, $50, $21, $70. And raw, literally a $5 to $10 card. And that's one of the more expensive ones. Next, we have the Greninja Illustration Contest promo. Could not find a recent PSA 10 sale for this. Looks like there's only 8 of them in a 10, which is kind of crazy. Next, one of the coolest basic modern holos that we have ever gotten. Check this out. If you guys are just listening, you got to check this out. We got the Greninja holo from Unbroken Bonds. This does come in reverse holo also, but look at the shadow of Charizard in the background. That is super cool. Last sold raw 15, 20, 16, 10. We got a PSA 10 at $500. Says low pop, only 36 of them in a 10 and 63 of them in a 9. So keep your eye out for this card. Someone could be sitting on a ton of these cards. Next, get into some Japanese exclusives. They do have another tag team card. This is the gold Japanese Greninja and Zoroark. Last sold in a 10, 112, 146, 130, 164. There's a good handful of Japanese exclusive tag team cards that are all dirt cheap, like $100 in a PSA 10. I think the Umbreons are some of the more expensive ones. Next, looking at a couple cameos here, we have the Gyarados EX from Breakpoint. Definitely one of the best modern cards we've ever gotten. Like, it's just crazy. The shiny Gyarados, the Manaphy, the Greninja. This card is wild. Last sold raw 199, 256 for near mint, 132. We got a PSA 9 at 385, then a 10 at 1950, another 10 at 2225. This thing is wild. There's 1,300 of them in a 10 and 2,200 in a 9 and 1,500 in a 8. So this card is actually pretty tough to grade. When there's more 8s than 10s, that's when you can usually tell it's not easy. A lot of these cards are pretty off-centered. Next, the most expensive card on the list. I couldn't even find any recent sales for this one, but this is the Art Academy Pikachu Ashley winner in a CGC 8.5. They're asking $45,000 their best offer. So I feel really bad for anybody trying to collect every single Greninja card and cameo, because there he is, just hanging out in the background. But yeah, it sucks too, because if you wanted to get every single Greninja card, it wouldn't be that difficult or that expensive until you get to this card here. But yeah, that is crazy expensive. You know, obviously it's not going to sell for 45 grand. I've seen a ton of other cards similar to this. I don't know a lot about these Art Academy cards, but I've seen them sell anywhere from like 10 grand to like 20 grand. So I don't know. If you're interested and you're trying to buy this, let me know if you do buy it so I know what it sells for. Next, we got the Steel products. We got the Greninja UPC. I think this is one of the coolest looking UPCs. Just wish they would have did a little more with the promos, which we actually forgot to talk about in the beginning. But some of these Greninja cards here, they make them as metal promos too. They're just like the basic EX cards though. That's why I'm not the biggest fan. Yeah, I really wish they would have gave us some cool promos. I just wish they would stick with the 151 UPC route, where they give us a cool metal card, a cool illustration rare, and a cool special illustration rare. That is perfect. We don't need anything else. Next, we have the Greninja V Union collection. Now, this thing's pretty cool because it does have Evolving Skies in there. Also shows a Vivid Voltage, so that sucks. But last sold 139, 108, 95. Sometimes you can find these, you know, for under $100. And like I said, I think they're really cool for display. The box is nice. There's even texture on the box, especially if you're a Greninja fan. Not to mention Evolving Skies in there is not terrible. Next, we have the new Greninja EX box from Shrouded Fable. This box and the Kingdra box saved Shrouded Fable, kinda. Last sold 132, 129, 140. Let's see the high on this. I think that's about it. Finally starting to level out a little bit. Honestly, I hope it goes down in price so we can get a few more. Next, we have the Ash-Greninja EX box. This is a super cool box. Also comes with a jumbo. We got Breakpoint and Breakthrough in there. Last sold on eBay, $650, $640. We got one on auction here at $395. Looks somewhat clean, maybe a little corner damage, but not too bad. Yeah, love that one. And last on the list, we have the Forbidden Light booster box, where Greninja is on the side of the booster box. So, super cool. Last sold $1,547 on auction. And Forbidden Light has that rainbow Greninja and the blue full art. So, yeah, not a terrible set, but not the best set for sure in the Sun and Moon era. But at least Greninja got some love. But alright, that was today's Pokemon Throwback Thursday. If you guys like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. Or you can check out my PSA link or my merch. I would really appreciate that. And then too, if you guys want to watch my last Pokemon What If Wednesday, which was a super good one, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.